Kia ora. Welcome, Eliana. What brought you to this part of Aotearoa?
I arrived to New Zealand to study English, to learn English, and I arrived to Wellington. And I came to this area just because my ex-partner is from this area. And that's how I arrived here.
How long have you been living here now?
This will be my 7th year in Aotearoa, and in the Waimarino area, it will be 6 years.
6 years.
Yeah.
True. What was your first impression of the region?
Oh, it brings me a lot of memories because I come from the city, and this was my first time living in the countryside of any country, and it's just the peace around, but also is so many wild things that were new to my life. So it kind of like slowly I've been blending that to my life, just to get knowledge about it. But yeah, it's been just different, just here to experience, like even from the dressing up, having 4 seasons, how to cook with the food that you have each season. Everything, the music, the differences of all the people that I have met in the region. It's a small area, but it moves a lot. It's a lot of life out there.
Cool.
So it's interesting.
Life here compared to back home in Colombia? Are there more opportunities here for you, or?
It is different, but I feel like over the years, I left Colombia thinking that I left to study and to do a master, and I have a different plan of what my life is right now. So being in New Zealand, I can say that it's a lot of opportunities that I probably wouldn't have been in Colombia at all. Life is expensive, but you don't get paid for how life it is. So it is a lot of a struggle for a lot of people. So when I left Colombia, I kind of like left looking to keep educating myself so I could have maybe a dream life, to build a dream life. And I didn't picture myself doing that in New Zealand because it's hard. It's hard to validate your studies and be a professional. It's not easy just to come and just do it. It's a process. So it is a lot of differences between life here and there because I come as an immigrant that I have 2 careers, but I came and I clean. I have a cleaning job. And then I was working in the gardens here in the area. So it was like my first approach to doing a job that it wasn't behind of a desk, or it wasn't working with people or with anything related to my profession.
So what is your profession?
So I did a technology in business administration when I was young. Yeah, that kind of was boring. And then I moved to Colombia. So I am originally from Colombia. And when I was a teenager, I moved to Mexico with my mom and dad and my brother, just because of dad's work. And when I was 19, 20, I came back to Colombia. And is when I went and studied psychology. And yeah, so I was working a little bit on that, and yeah,
So you're a psychologist.
yeah.
Yeah, cool. Can you tell us a little bit about where you grew up in Colombia?
So I come from Medellín, um, and well, I was born in Medellín, but I grew up in a barrio called Niquia. So it's a neighborhood. I grew up in it's like, yeah, it's a mountain. So Medellin is a lot of mountains, and it's, yeah. So I was living in the low part. It's like a, yeah. And yeah, pretty much since I was probably like 5. And this neighborhood was a little bit rough. Yeah. And then we moved to another neighborhood called Navarra. And after that is when lived there till I was like probably 14, and then went to Mexico,
Medellin?
Medellin.
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 Medellin. Isn't that where Pablo Escobar's from?
So he, from my understanding, is that he wasn't born in Medellin. He was born in the countryside, and years later he established himself in Medellin. Yeah.
Cool. What's something you wish more people knew about Colombian culture?
I wish more people would just, read about like or artists and people who is involved in sports, and just to look deeper in what our culture is. It's a lot of richness in our land. Colombia has mountains, desert, hill, big paramount where it's like snow and all that kind of stuff.
Mountains.
Yeah, but they are like quite high. I don't know the exactly word, but yeah, big mountains. And yeah, we have the jungle, and it's like Colombia has so much richness in places to go and visit. And when you go and you talk with the people, you will find like each region is so different that it just, I don't know, it make you feel, it make you feel alive, and you just find, I don't know, enjoyment even when it's a place where it's a lot of pain, it's a lot of violence and abuse and yeah, unsupported systems, broken systems. So
Corrupt?
yeah,
Is that it?
definitely.
Definitely corrupt?
Yes.
Okay. Are there any traditions, foods, or festivals you miss the most?
Yes. Yes. I definitely miss the bandeja paisa. it's it's from my region, and it's a plate. It's a big plate, and it have beans, rice, avocado, sweet plantain, like mince, chorizo. It has like a pork belly chop, entire egg. It has like it's so much protein and full up, because I think this tradition comes from back in the day. People who come from the countryside, they used to work quite hard, so they used to have only one meal at the middle of the day. So for us, our main meal is lunch, because sometimes it was like the only meal that people people have. So it was always like quite rich. And yeah, and fruit, like, it's a lot of fruit. You walk and you will find a mango tree, or I was thinking the other day about guavas, because it's something that you just, in the countryside, you walk and you will find a tree of guavas and you just eat them. So it's a lot of things like that I I really miss, and I really would love people to know about. Like, if you go to Colombia, you will find yourself in a paradise of fruit, of food, of flavor, of street. You can taste a street um, in a good way if you find the good way to enjoy Colombia. I won't say that people that go in, if you want to go and find trouble, for sure you will.
Fine.
So
most people, or a lot of people, their perception of Colombia is drugs.
is drugs, is Pablo, is is all the bad things that have been happening in Colombia for many, many years. And I feel like, as Colombian, when, I've been immigrant since a very young age. And, it's very interesting to go through other countries where sometimes I don't want to say that I am Colombian. I just say that I am Latino. Because it's a stigma around, and it's until I feel comfortable that I will say I am Colombian. And it doesn't mean that I am not proud. I'm very, very proud of being a Colombian woman. But sometimes it takes opportunities from you. It makes process harder. It makes you sometimes to just, it's like you see other people doing exactly the same process as you, but you have to do it twice and harder. And you wonder why, and it's no reason. It's just you are a Colombian and we need to check, you know?
So is that like a bit of is it discrimination?
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes it harder for you to do stuff that other people who aren't from a stigmatized background, eh? Yeah, it's got to be hard.
Yeah. And, it kind of like, I have a boy, a 2-year-old boy, and he was born here in New Zealand. And sometimes it's, for me it's important that he knows that he's 50% Colombian and Latino, because it's so easy to forget that. And that's part of, people don't want to see that part of someone. And for me, it's like I am actually bringing up something really like my culture and my values and my traditions to a new human being that is not there, but it's like he needs to know where he comes from, because that pulls, the blood pulls, the genes pull, and it's all that background and that philosophy that our ancestors precede us. It's kind of like something to pass on. So for me, it's very important, even being in Aotearoa, to even feel my roots more, because in a way, something that I experienced living in this area was losing that part of myself. I blocked my Spanish full when I came to this area, because I really wanted to learn English and I wanted to speak good English, and probably still lots to learn. But it is now that I have a son, all that has come to me, and it's like all these traditions that I'm like, oh, okay, I remember this, and it comes so natural from my learnings, from these things that we learn when we are kids, and they just come up. So
Where did you learn English? How long have you been learning English? Or I know you're still learning.
yeah.
But when did you start learning English?
So I started in uni, just the normal classes that we have in uni. But it was not good at all. So when I left Colombia, my first experience with English was in Germany. And I thought, oh, I know English. But, it's like you're a traveler. So people understand your bad English. When I arrived to New Zealand, that was 2018 when I started to learn. So I did my test and I just couldn't understand anything. So I was like, nah, I'm going from zero. I want to learn, everything. And it's pretty much like, for me doing that was like, you become a baby. It's like, how do I say that? How I communicate that? And it's so many things that you have to process when you are learning a new language, because it's like, sometimes it's overwhelming not to be able to communicate for yourself, even knowing that in your own language you can, and you can do it awesome. So it is an experience. So it's been nearly 7 years of constant learning. Yeah.
You're learning pretty well, though, eh? I don't know whether I've asked you this one, but what motivated you to move to New Zealand?
I just actually wanted to travel. So when I was in Colombia, I had a corporation with a friend. So we graduated and we just didn't know what to do with our lives, and we just came together and we just put a project, and we were working with, like, we wanted to work with kids, and we did a few like visits and projects around extreme communities in extreme poverty. So we used to go to these communities and try to find food and find resources to go there and just make kids happy. And at the time, I was looking for grants to be able to do this work. So I found the embassy of Germany have some programs. And if I was gonna go, so my plan was gonna go and study in Germany to be able to access to those grants. But I needed English. So I thought, right, I'll go there, and when I needed my English, then I was like, I can go to another country and just travel the world, learn English, and then go to Germany. So I started to look where I can go and study.
Oh, cool.
And I look into Australia, different places, and just New Zealand came to my attention. When I was in uni, I did research, and it was about tattoos. So in part of my research, in the background of my mind, it was Aotearoa, because of how tattoos are, important in the Maori culture. So, kind of like it was in the back of my mind, this country, and I just came.
It just happened.
It just happened. And it was like coming to New Zealand, applying to a visa to New Zealand is so hard. You need a lot of money, you need sponsors, and you need to prove, a lot of like you are a good character and different things. I think it was meant to
Meant to
be,
happen.
yeah. Yes, I was actually on Tinder, just hooking up. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
and we met in there.
Oh, true.
And we just started to hang out, and he used to come to see me in Wellington. And I came to the area actually, because my visa was running out. And so my visa was running out, and it was like my last month in the country. And then it was when I was gonna move. I was gonna move to Europe to carry on with my studies and what I was kind of doing, or what my plans around my professional life were at the time. So yeah, that's pretty much how I ended up in the area. Because so when I finished my English course in Wellington, he was like, I have a month free of holiday. Why you don't come up and stay with me and, just
Hang
see
out.
the area, hang out, and then see ya. I was like, cool, yeah. And I came up to do that. And I never left. So it was close to my date. I think it was like around 11 of Feb of 2019. When my visa was going to run out. And I have a ticket to fly to France. So I needed to leave. But, we were having fun. So he was like, why you don't stay? So I applied for a visa, applied for 3 months, and I got granted 9 months. And he was like, why you just don't stay winter, and yeah. And it was just from there. And yeah, 6 years happened.
You're still here.
Yeah.